Welcome to another session of the Old Wise Asylum. What is there going on out there? Ooh, destruction of England has begun, as we can all now see. Ooh, it's a mess. It's a mess and a half. 2 new religions. I've noted 2 new religions in readiness for the destruction or dissemination of the Church of England. So there's 2 new religions on the block. And that fake king and queen, of course, once they can get rid of the Church of England, they're going to uphold every religion except Christianity. So there we go. England's on its way out. Because you guys are not operating England. Because you are England, and England is you. Not some fake monarch, some fake Rhodesia queen. It's not Scotland, not them Aggie Squeezes up there that are taking over everything as the Presbyterians, the Scottish Rite. And I've noticed these, some of these Aggie Squeezes getting just a little bit too excited about this. We are Jews and we are the fucking Masons and you lot down there are shit. Listen, Aggie Squeezes, just a bit of history for you, you fruit bait. David I. Scotland completely took over at aristocratic level by the Persian aristocrats from Europe. David I. That's how long you guys have been operating under Persia, not Judaism, Persia, and you've been running England since the Civil War. So if you don't like what's been going on down there in Westminster, you're to fucking blame, you Aggie Squeezers. So I'm getting sick of this. You know, that spirograph kid out there that's just completely tapped, if you ask me. Where are you getting your data from? Except right out of the lodge, sunshine. Oh my word. It's just, it's actually quite hilarious to see your shit come up on my face here, to be quite honest. You Aggie Squeezers, you are off your rockers. You don't even know your own history, let alone English history. Never mind. It's not about Aggie Squeezers tonight. It's about England. My bad. And your bad, I'm guessing, out there. And it's being destroyed by the fake king and the fake queen. And remember, they don't exist on England. Coronation tells you that. But these fruit bats that call themselves MPs, oh, there is none now because it's been dissolved, and councillors and all these fruit bat police and flea bags and spermicides, all these amoebas, evolved to it. This Scottish free king that speaks Queen's English. Well, it's not even Queen's English. Let's not give it to that fake either. English. Anyway, I feel like the weight's lifted off my shoulders quite a bit because the last 13 live streams, I think I've pretty much pulled together everything I've been gobbing off about. So, for 4 years on the live streams and then 20 years through the website. So, I do feel summertime's arrived, the weight's off, and of course, I don't have to spend the whole week now pulling these things together, but of course things are coming up and we've got a few things to discuss. But perhaps it might not last 45 hours anymore. We might just get through this a little bit quicker and you can get back to your Sunday and you don't have to listen to me and watch my ugly mug on a Sunday night. So anyway, that's pretty much where we're at tonight. There's a few little things, but also elephant in the room. A big one. And none of us have seen it. None of us. I only seen it yesterday and put it together today. It's massive. In fact, it's so huge. It's frightening. And none of us have ever seen it. So we're going to expose an elephant tonight as well. A big one. A bad one. And if the Yanks can get hold of it and see it, we might just get somewhere. We might just get somewhere. As long as nobody votes. Kill this machine that everybody that's a fruit bat keeps sticking a cross on because they're manipulating it anyway. You've got George Galloway now who wants to be Prime Minister. You've got Bradford of George Galloway, or Lawrence of Bradford as I call him now, Lawrence of Rochdale. His footprints are all over what's going on in Bradford right now. What's Bradford doing? Telling Palestine, watch this space, we're going to become a separatist town on England. Come again? That's George Galloway, people. He's a complete arsewhack. He's a treasonous bastard. We're really going to have to start thinking about arresting these people and putting them in the mineshaft. Tie them up, feed them vaccines and everything else that they've been shoving on everybody, midazolam and all this stuff. We'll feed them that. And if they pop, oh my God, they were wrong. It weren't good for you after all. Or something like that. But we're going to have to start thinking about arresting these people and imprisoning them ourselves. Because they're not going away. Are they? Not anytime soon anyway. And, it's just crazy. It's getting crazy. I'm just glad it's summer. I could cope with it a bit better because it's sun shining. Who's joined us tonight? Mew says hello everyone. Hello Mew. MZA, what's new? Shitloads, MZA, actually. Good evening to you. Untitled, greetings to Sean and all the participants. Wishing you an inspiring and productive session. Let's make the most of our time together and achieve great things. That's good sentiment there. Untitled, evening to you. Paul says, good evening Sean and fellow inmates. Good evening Paul. Mark says, evening Sean and hello Mew. Hello Mark. Slipknot says, alright Sean, Jack and everyone. Evening Trev. Mew says, hello Mark, Trevor, blah blah, when you arrive. What's happened to the colour? It's gone a bit weird. Wait! I've gone a bit golden. A golden child tonight, maybe. I don't know. Jerry says, happy Sunday, Sean and all, and the wise are silent. Well, evening to you, Jerry. Anthony says, good evening, Sean, Mew, and all the gang, joining you from Antalya this evening. Oh, that'll be Turkey then. I'm looking forward to the wise are silent knowledge down as Lord as per. And purple light. I don't like that. Evening to you, Anthony. PY Music, the toothless. Oh, that's it. Will you get some teeth, for God's sake, Paul? You can't be a pop star with no teeth, can you? You need to get your peggies, new peggies. Evening, Paul. And Drew says, evening, Sean, and everyone in the chat. Hope you're all enjoying the ride they call Earth. Yeah, we're loving it. We're loving it. Hi to you, Drew. Mew says, alright, must. To Anthony. How do Mew says Anthony with the clappy handies. Mew says, you talking about Stephen, Sean? Stephen. No. I nearly said it then, but I don't want to say it yet because I went up toilet when I thought of this. And I don't want to spoil it. There's 2 new religions. 2. So don't spoil it, Mew. You're always onto it too quick. Wayne says, evening everyone, hope all is well as can be. Evening to you, Wayne. Well, it's as good as we make it, isn't it? Let's be honest. Where are we there? Mew pit elephant in the room. It's massive. It's a fucking pink elephant as well. And it's massive. And none of us have seen it. You're going to see it tonight and you'll never get it out right. And America, you need to listen to this shit because this is exactly where we're at. The emotional cannon has been out all week for the trumpet. All week. What's that? Alex Jones is having a mental breakdown because the FBI are closing him down and he's cried his eyeball. I mean, the ego on that guy is just fucking outrageous. I mean, what a week for drama and emotional garbage to get you all excited and go, oh, we're going to give you some money. Have it! Because you're so fantastic. But anyway. We've got Profiler X this evening. Good evening to you, Profiler X. Galloway. Laughing my ass off. Savile and Freemason friends. Galloway is a complete shithouse. What will not debate me. I chased him all over all his platforms when he were Lawrence of Bradford, covering up the importation of all the Taliban fighters so they could take all the drugs over, killing the Muslim drug dealers back then, and implementing Afghan opium. Guarded, of course, by the British Army and the Yankee Army. I mean, opium's gone up a lot, hasn't it? Let's be honest. Where are we there? Galloway, yeah. PY says, yeah. You've no teeth. You can't show that emoji with your peggies in when you haven't got any. Can you? Honestly. You can't be a pop star, so we know peggies. You need to get some peggies rapid. June says, good evening, Sean. Good evening, June. Profile Alex, a bad done. Yeah. Oh, I agree. Anyway, what shall I start with? Because I'm that disorderly tonight, I've got everything in, shoved it in quick, but I forgot where I put it all. So it might be a bag of tricks. But wait a minute, no, I know what we'll do. We'll go straight to the main gig, really, apart from the elephant. The elephant could turn out to be the main gig, but this is disgusting and outrageous. Oh. If I do that, it works, doesn't it? And we've got it. Disestablishment of the Church of England Bill, AHL, as introduced. Contents. The establishment of the Church of England, the Committee, Protection of Religious Freedom, Extent, Commencement and Short Title. That's what garbage is in it. AHL Bill 2958-4. Very naughty. A Bill to de-establish the Church of England to make provision for the protection of freedom of religion or belief and for connected purposes, whatever that means. Be enacted by the King's Most Excellent Majesty, my fucking ass. He ain't no King of England. They're telling lies. Every bastard in Parliament today and the Lords are asswipes. It's that simple. Working for the Holy See. By and with the advice and consent of the Lords Spiritual and Temporal, which means Zionists, Bolsheviks, and Commons, which means the numpties in Parliament, in this present Parliament assembled and by the authority of the same as follows. There's no authority. They're all wankers. They've all oath to a fake king. We need to start arresting them. There's plenty of mine shafts up here in North. And they're all coal mines as well, so it's quite poisonous in them things as well. I'm being facetious, of course. Well, satire. Let's call it satire tonight. Let's present tonight's show's satire. Sort of thing. That way then, I won't get me car blown up or something. Disestablishment of the Church of England. The purpose of this act is to secure that the Church of England is disestablished and all the powers over faith, doctrine, liturgy, property, discipline, fucking hell. Discipline and appointments now exercised over and on behalf of that church by the Crown Parliament or private patrons are transferred in their entirety to the General Synod of the Church of England to be exercised in accordance with any rules determined by that body, which is the Presbyterian Aggish Shaggers up there in Scotland. The Persian aristocracy. The mafia. We might have to invade Aggie Squeezer land. The Secretary of State must, within 6 months of the passing of this Act, establish a committee on the de-establishment of the Church of England. And this has had its first reading, so listen folks. If you've never given a toss about anything ever before, you've just played with yourself and watched fruitcakes like me, this is the time that we start to create the biggest, baddest fucking, what do they call them? What do they call it when you write on a piece of paper, sign your name? What do they call it? We need to start this, and I'm not joking actually, we're dead serious. We need 40 billion signatures saying to Parliament, kiss my rebel fucking ass. And that's swearing today on a Sunday. Okay? But I'm allowed because we're in support of the church. And the church has given me ordination tonight to swear my ass off and be as naughty as I pleased to be. So there it's sanctioned by the church itself. Not the fruit bats running it, but the church as a body. What do they call them? Them things. I can't. Why is it not coming? We need to create one, guys, from this wise asylum. And it needs to go everywhere. You need to get off your asses and go out and force people to sign it. Okay, force them. If they don't sign it, beat the shit out of them. Of course, I'm being facetious because this is satire. But you get my drift. You know what I'm saying? This is look. This is the fucking gig, man. We have to say, fuck you, kiss my ass, you aggie squeezer bastards. You're not having fucking England, okay? Ooh, can you dig the gig? We have to say, kiss my ass, and mean it. Petition. That's what it's called. Thanks, Jerry. I knew it'd take an Irishman to give me the gig. Petition, and this has to be massive, folks. And I'm not joking. I am not joking. We have to do this and say to them, yeah, I don't think so. Because it's treason. Okay? I don't care who this took an oath to. It's Medici Queen and the fat-fingered fake. You're not the King of England. You're not the Queen of England. Kiss my ass. Okay? So baby boomers, time to wakey wakey! Wakey wakey now! Shit's got real. You can't carry on, keep running off going to holiday. This is the time to say, right, we're not going on holiday, darling. We have a petition to create. Okay? This is the gig, folks. Oh. To be exercised in accordance with any rules determined by that body. Ooh. I'm not happy with this. The Secretary of State must... Nah, we've done that one. So it's had its first reading. It hasn't been passed yet, so we might be looking at 8 months. 8 months is a long gig. Who's had a failure? Although they're still at it, they've agreed somewhere. And now they've completely connected climate change with health. So they might not have got the treaty in place and in action, but they've got the agreements and they've now transferred completely climate change to health. Okay, so when they do get it, if they get it, oh dear heck. The committee must make recommendations to identify the legislative changes required to de-establish the Church of England, including ensuring the sovereign no longer holds the title of Defender of the Faith. Well, we don't have a fucking sovereign, except we are the sovereign. Okay? So they're going to determine that we no longer have and hold the title of Defender of the Faith. Can you see why we have to do this? We are the sovereign in this nation. We're not Freemasons. We're not Jesuits. We're not Israelis. We're not Muslims. We like Buddhists. We like Muslims if they're behaving themselves. And I have to say, I live up north. Most of the Muslims up here behave themselves. Because they're actually Muslims. Not these fruitcakes that we've got seen all over cities. By the by. The sovereign no longer holds title Defender of the Faith and Supreme Governor of the Church of England. Well, we have to decide that's who we are, because we are the sovereign. Ian is a freak up in Scotland, aggie squeezing. Shooting and squeezing and shagging aggies. That's all he's fit for. And I'm swearing tonight, Bishop said I can. Any right for parishioners to marry in their local parish church is removed. Did you get that? Any right for parishioners to marry in their local parish church is removed. Any automatic right for officials in the Church of England to solemnise marriages is removed. Subject to subsection 4, which we'll need to look at. Any automatic right for officials in the Church of England to solemnise marriages is removed. I don't care if you're watching porn every night. This is important, fellas. This is important. That officials of the Church of England must meet the same requirements as any other person to solemnise a marriage. No one can be a member of the House of Lords by virtue of being a bishop or archbishop of the Church of England, subject to subsection 5. That's Scotland completely taking over Parliament and the Lords. See it, people? See it. See it. Any members of the House of Lords who sit by virtue of being a bishop or archbishop of the Church of England cease to be members. Stealing our system, folks. No bishop or archbishop of the Church of England is entitled to receive in that capacity a writ or summons to attend or sit and vote in the House of Lords. This is completely destruction, folks. Not of the common law, Because the church is not as old as the Magna Carta. So it's not common law. Ooh. Ecclesiastical law ceases to form part of the law of England and Wales. Are you listening, you sheepshaggers down there in Wales? It's important. It affects you. Stop hating the English. It's no good. Leave that to the jocks. The power of the General Synod to present legislation to Parliament is removed. The Ecclesiastical Committee is abolished and the role of the Second Church Estates Commission has ceased to exist. Ecclesiastical courts cease to have any legal jurisdiction. Ecclesiastical courts, people. What does that do? Puts you in the hands of the Noahide. Your kids, your grandkids. You better get a grip of this, Pope, because this is the most serious shit ever to have been flushed down the toilet. Ecclesiastical courts cease to have any legal jurisdiction. Ooh. The functions of the Archbishop of Canterbury in respect to the appointment of notaries public are transferred to the Lord Chancellor. Do you understand what that means? Do you understand what that means? The functions of the Archbishop of Canterbury in respect to the appointment of notaries. Oh, what have I done? Are transferred to the Lord Chancellor, the Lord Zionist. Any legislation proposed to meet the purpose of subsection 3c must not remove the right to solemnise marriage from any official on the Church of England who has the right on the day on which this act is passed. Nothing in this section prevents a person who is or has been a bishop or archbishop of the Church of England from receiving and exercising the entitlements under a peerage for life in accordance with Section 1 of the Life Peerages Act 1958. Well, if that's not going to get the existing archbishops and bishops to go with this, because they're not losing shit. Ooh. Nothing in this section affects the ownership of church properties, wealth or assets. The committee appointed under Section 1 must include representatives or a representative from relevant legal practitioners, the Church of England, such other persons as the Secretary of State considers appropriate. The Church is going to become the state, ladies and gentlemen. The Committee on the Disestablishment of the Church of England must, within 12 months of the passing of this Act, publish and present to the Secretary of State the legislative proposals it considers necessary to disestablish the Church of England. Within 3 months of receiving the recommended legislative proposals from the committee, the Secretary of State must lay a command paper containing a draft bill reflecting those legislative proposals before Parliament. The Secretary of State may make any changes they consider necessary, but must lay before Parliament a statement explaining why the changes were required. And you're all about to vote in the biggest Bolshevik set of pricks since Tony Blair. The Secretary of State may dissolve the committee once they consider the purpose of this Act to disestablish the Church of England has been achieved. Protection of religious freedom. The disestablishment of the Church of England must not infringe upon the rights and freedoms of individuals to practice their religion or belief as guaranteed under the law. Jesus. Shit in Christ. See, I'm allowed to blaspheme tonight as well, he said. Extent, commencement and short title. This Act extends to England and Wales only. This Act comes into force on the day on which it is passed. This Act may be cited as Disestablishment of the Church of England Act 2024. Ordered to be printed 6th of December 2023. So these bastards have been up to this since the fat fingers of his Medici Queen got in there. Lord Scriven. Anybody know where he lives? Guy needs arresting for treason. Parliamentary Copyright House of Lords 2023. The publication may be reproduced under the terms of the Open Parliament Licence, which is published at published by the authority of the House of Lords, and now published by the authority of Life in the Mix Publishing. Did you get that, ladies and gentlemen? This is the most important bag of shit coming out of the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, which made it clear England would be the last nation to be dismantled because, of course, they've been using it as a front. Oh, it gets me so angry. I could boil a frog. Now, so there it is in the government website. We'll just check that you can see that. And long time, yeah, sponsor Lord Scriven, a Liberal Democrat bitch, which is a Whig, which is a full-blown Scottish Presbyterian Noahide bastard. A life peer. Well, it should be life in prison under the treason laws, ladies and gentlemen. Current version of the bill, 6th of December 2023, and it's had its first reading in the House of Lords. Okay? So we have plenty of time. But guys, this is the only gig on the floor. Forget your protesting. Forget focusing on the nonsense called Israel and Hamas. We don't give a shit about Israel and Hamas killing each other. We don't care. Why do we care? We don't care. And don't let anybody tell you that you have to care. This is the only thing that we need to care about. Now, I'll put this up under the thingy because I only put it up today and I didn't get a chance to read it all. But here we go with the commentaries of the laws of England, Sir William Blackstone, of the King's Revenue. Now, it goes through quite a lot of church bishopric data. We're not going to go through it now, but I'm going to put it up there, and I suggest we all at least try to understand it and pull out anything that's important here. Okay, 1765, 1769. When England were on the verge of being fully destroyed, which is why Blackstone reiterated what England was and not what it wasn't, which was Saxe Coburg Gotha, Mafia, Pish. I'm not happy, are you? Are you happy? No, we're not happy. We're not happy. We're not happy. So there we go, chaps. For all the wind and piss we've talked about in these years, that, for England, and for action, no offence to the Scottish people that are lovely and that live here, and no offence to the Scottish general people up there, this is aristocratic, Persian, Holy See families, as we've looked at, and I've found a lot more, and I'll put them together in the week for you to look at as well, because there's tons of them. It made me sick going through it today, to be fair. These people are sick. Now, I've also put this together this week as well. Very few people are aware of the fact that up until 1960, there was never any speak of a Holocaust, apart from the fact that they killed the Germans. Up until 1960, the whole gig was about a home for the rejected. The Holocaust didn't exist. It only existed in the fact that they were building it up ready because they wanted the cash. They wanted the money. I'm not going to read it all because it may fall foul of some of the YouTube's crybaby stuff. However, I will read the conclusion. It's a very succinct, very precise document. It's a trial of Adolf Eichmann, and through which they shifted everything from a home for the rejected to a, oh my God, look what everybody didn't do, but we're going to pretend they all did it because we want your fucking money. Gig. Okay? Very, very important, this piece. The people have forgotten. This is where the ICC came into play, on the back of the so-called pretend Holocaust. That now the very beneficiaries of that lie are now saying doesn't count anymore, because they're the ones carrying out the very thing they created the ICC on. Again, it says, the Eichmann trial was and still is fundamentally identified with its prosecutor, then Attorney General Gideon Hausner. However, it was the members of the Bureau 06, was a police bunch, so basically the police of Israel of the day, under the guise of the then Israeli Prime Minister Ben-Gurion, as we've looked at some of his speeches about how he sees the white race, have we not? How he sees the Arab race, have we not? We have. So this old gig, this shift from a home for the rejected to an invention of a Holocaust, was created by a police unit called Bureau 6 in Israel. Okay? However, it was the members of Bureau 6 and their commander, Zellinger, who shaped the preparation of the Bill of Indictment. The investigation team placed together the historic narrative told at the trial, while the personal style and approach of Zellinger influenced the direction and nature of the investigation and the reports given to the prosecution for its case. Indeed, it was the fruits of the Bureau's investigation and the criminal file it prepared that provided the basis for the broad structure and scope that the trial was to take. From all the documents gathered over the course of the police investigation in preparation for the trial, it is clear that the Bureau 06 investigators took a dry, stringent approach to the prosecution of Eichmann and their role in it, relating only to the legal aspects of the case in their work. This was in stark contrast to the prosecutor's tendency to heed political rather than strictly legal considerations in constructing his case. In his more dramatic approach to the trial and his role in it, to Hausner, a most important element in the building of the case against Eichmann was creating a stellar performance. So it was a theatre. There is no doubt that the trial was not one-man show as the public tended to perceive it. Behind the scenes were numerous people working and preparing for the trial and influencing the prosecution's case. Moreover, the shape the trial took was, to a large extent, the result of pressure that derived from the interaction between different groups of people with different agendas and different conceptions of the purpose of the trial. Most particularly the police, the various strata of the political sphere and the prosecution. In addition, one should not underestimate the influence of the various Holocaust survivor organisations, both in relation to the matter of broadening the scope of the trial, as well in terms of the contribution in bringing survivors to give testimony that so shocked the world and became the heart and soul of the trial. But you need to read this because it shows you that they were just actors. Fantasy, the entire gig. Neither Gideon Hausner nor the Holocaust survivors regarded the prosecution of Eichmann as the final goal in and of itself. This was a process still in motion today by which the Holocaust became a central component in the formation of Israeli identity, national identity. So before it were all about no home. Now it became, we all identify as people of the Holocaust. It's so important that people understand this. One of the outgrowths of this process was that in the aftermath of the trial, many young Israelis were instilled with a strong sense that the Jews are surrounded by a hostile world. Moreover, the trial started a process of declining the importance of statehood and sovereignty as the central elements of Israeli national identity, clearing the path for the Holocaust as their replacement. Finally, the rhetoric voiced throughout the trial told in the greatest of details of the horrendous catastrophes that were perpetrated on the Jewish people all across Europe, which we know if you watch the Bolshevik movie, was carried out by Stalin and the Mongols, the Bolsheviks. When the whole world stood silent and no one rose up against the terrible slaughter of a nation, the overwhelming destruction and ruin of the helpless Jewish people showed amongst many Israelis a complete distrust of the world, and its motives. As a result of the trial's rhetoric, All national conflicts were and still are, to a great extent, interpreted in relation to the Holocaust as the greatest of all Jewish catastrophes. Indeed, with the Holocaust as the background context, all conflicts are perceived as profoundly existential, a fact that sets up a perhaps insurmountable obstacle to their resolution. Good right, does. They can always crack about it. The effect the Eichmann trial on Israel national identity and self-perception is in itself a subject for a separate article. However, for our purpose, suffice it to say that it clarifies the intense and huge dimensions of the Eichmann trial as a formative event in the short history of the State of Israel. The echoes of its impact on how Israelis and as individuals and as a public perceive themselves reverberate even today in the most profound and existential of ways. And I've added, let the reparations begin. And they're still being paid. Now they're getting the blacks to do it. Now they're getting the Native Americans to do it. It's a game. It's about collecting your money into the hands of the Bolshevik banks. So we're not going to read it all, but I strongly advise you do. Strongly advise. Look. Okay? If you're a mass murdering pig, right? Let's just say you're a mass murdering pig, right? Where are we? You are going to... Oh, well, that's rubbish. Hang on. And you're a mass murdering pig, and you're going to have to justify the fact that you're a mass murdering pig to the future. So you're going to write copious amounts of work for the future to look at you and think this guy had to do it. So let's look at 3 players in this gig. General Dwight D. Eisenhower. He wrote a 559-page book titled Crusade in Europe. Okay? 559-page book. Sir Winston Churchill's 4,448-page 6-volume work titled The Second World War. And Charles de Gaulle's 2,054-page 3-volume work titled Memories de Guerre, published from 1948 to 1959. Those books, totaling 7,061 pages, make no mention at all of anything related to the Jews' Holocaust story. If you were a mass murdering pig, as those 3 guys were, and you wanted the future to see as beautiful and fantastic, like me, you would use the greatest means to do so. And the fact that we've been told that the greatest problem and issue of the Second World War was the fact that there was a mass Holocaust against one race, you would use that at the end of every page. Each and every one of those fruit bats. Would you not? Not a single fucking word. Not a murmur, because it's one of the greatest fantasies ever told since they wrote the Old Testament in Babylon. And the Midrash. And the Talmud. In Babylon. There's no evidence whatsoever that they were ever a Solomon's temple. It's garbage. But we know there was a second temple created by King Cyrus. On the back of all the garbage they created in 70 years in Babylon while captive, those that call themselves today Jews but are in fact the Judahites. And they've done it again. And they keep doing it. And everybody out there, because they're stupid, keeps believing it. Is it time you stopped? Look at what we've just looked at. This is what the blighters are doing now. Destroying England. Right under your nose. Is that disgusting? Is that just disgusting? And what? I say it is. And I'm not impressed. Not a bit. And I've studied for 30 years. And never have I seen a fantasy second only to the invention of the Old Testament as I have when I looked into the Holocaust fantasy. It's garbage. 100% garbage. And the reason why it's coming out and outed now, and that you've got Milikowski, aka Netanyahu, adamant that fuck the ICC, even though it was created on the back of their striking in 1960. Genocide. He's perpetrating genocide all over the shop. Because Kissinger made it clear, not that long ago, that Israel had a 10-year lifespan left. So it's a game, ladies and gentlemen. Israel's not going to survive this game. Which means the Jews that are there aren't going to survive this game. Which means the ones that are likely to move over to the Ukraine, their real homeland for the Khazar, they are going to survive it. The ones that have fled over to Perth in Australia, they're going to survive it. But you guys in Israel, you guys around the world that have backed this shit, as Abe Finkelstein said, there isn't a Jew alive today that doesn't know what's going on because they hear it in the synagogue and they hear it at the parties. They all know what's going on. Now is your time, my Jewish brethren, to get off your fucking ass. Stop thinking you're chosen and you're bestest thing on the fucking planet. Because, as I've said before, we have 3 religions here about to go up their own ass because the players at the top of it that pretend to be Jews, pretend to be Christians, pretend to be Muslims, are nothing of the sort. The people are Zoroastrians. They are put themselves in a position as arbitrators over the 3 religions. They don't care who wins, as long as you all lose. Over the left and the right, over the communists and the capitalists. They are the arbitrators. They'll pretend all day that they're backing you. But as long as you're running around fooled and stupid that you believe in these programs, then Armageddon is around the corner. And Armageddon is when it all goes tits up. Wake up, people, for fuck's sake. Are you really still infantile and you have to suck into this shit because you believe you're going to win? You're not going to win nothing. Nothing. There's not a religion alive today operating in accordance to its own doctrine. None of them. None. And these up there know that because they've created that opportunity for you to break that program so they can sit up there and go, oh, well, look what they've done. We must judge them. Now, No. That's your God. The Holy See families. Persians that have absolutely no interest in anything classed as biblical tradition. They are Yahweh as they are Lucifer. And they probably are Allah also. I don't know. But they're certainly not the God of the Israelites. Or gods, because there was a pantheon of them. We know them as the Olympians. Or we know them as Odin's gang. That's our cultural heritage. Oh dear heck. Oh dear heck. What a mess. But that's what's going on, folks. And I strongly advise, if you want to fully understand what's going on, you read that Eichmann trials. Very interesting, because it shows you exactly how they created this fantasy. But look at the money. Why have they done this? Because as I've said before, the 3 programs exist below the heart, and they've been inverted, so that the root chakra is now running the game. It's inverted. And the main aim for that root chakra brigade is to annihilate its 2 enemies. It can't do it itself. So it has to get both its enemies to annihilate each other. And let's have a look at the 2 new religions. The 2 new religions birthing here right now on Blighty. That this fat-faced king and his Medici queen want to give the rights to be what they are. Let's have a look, if I can remember where I put them. Oh, well, that's another one we'll look at in a minute. No, we looked at that. Now then, Stephen Laxative and his merry bunch of Saturday afternoon were all on a bender crew. They'll piss up all over the shop. That's a new religion. Tommy Laxative. Okay? So that's Tommy Laxative and his merry crew. But there's another new religion being born as well. I've noted. And it's called God Lives in the Tarmac. Two new fucking religions. The Tarmac God and the Laxative God. Come on, fellas. Look, Muslims. I've never seen any fucking Muslim living in the north of fucking England spraying on the fucking tarmac. That's why we let you build mosques. This is agitation. This is to fucking create that ability for the fucking fruitcakes to get two of their enemies to annihilate each other. The God of the tarmac and Tommy and his laxatives. Are we really gonna buy this shit? Really? Are we really fucking having this bollocks? Whether you're a Muslim, whatever you fucking are, Christian, English. Sorry, boys and girls. The Tommy and his laxative crew and the God of the tarmac are not religions that I recognise. They're an aberration for one reason only: to create that self-destruction of the enemies of the fruit bats out of Babylon. Am I right? Or am I fucking right? Yeah, look at that. He's not even called Tommy fucking Robinson. Stephen Yaxley fucking Lennon living in fucking, what do they call it? Tenerife. Fully paid up Zionist. He's nothing to do with England. What shit are you believing? The tarmac God believers. That doesn't represent Islam. Show me, I've read all the Islamic stuff. Nowhere does it say God lives in the tarmac. It doesn't. Agitators. Muslim Brotherhood. Set up by who? Holy See family. Palavicini. We've looked at this, haven't we? We've looked at it. So kiss my hearth, Tommy Laxative, and kiss my hearth, the tarmac God. Not on my land. Can you see how important it is, people, that we get to grips with this destruction of the Church of England? Doesn't matter whether you're religious, doesn't matter what you believe. Church of England and England are interconnected. Lose that, and any cockend and his dog can claim to be God's chosen on England. And it'll be protected by the state, the Secretary of State. Because he's oath to this in Scotland and his merry Medici Queen. All the little pillocks called police, who are no longer constables, just private for profit officers. Might as well be McDonald's staff. All oath to this fakery. Because they're stupid. Because the core of everything, all stupid and ignorance, is born of one thing, and that's cowardice. You've got to face that you're a coward, from which everything born of that leaves you doing nothing other than satisfying your own fears. And anything coming at you from the outside that allays your fear, you're going to lick its bottom. See, I've told you I can swear tonight. The Church of England has given me full permission to F and Jeff, cuss because I'm asking for forgiveness tomorrow. Or before midnight. Because remember, I'm English and I was brought up Church of England. But I'm also clever because I've got Catholic shit going on as well. So there's two churches giving it big on me. So I can get forgiven. Can you see what I'm saying? Because if they know me, well, I never ask permission. It's always do whatever I'm doing and then I'll ask for forgiveness. That's the way it rolls. That's the way it rolls. So, chaps and chapesses, we really do need to get into this. And we need to start to create a petition. And we're going to have to do it. Because everybody else is fast asleep stupid and loving Israel and Hamas. Because they're stupid. Or they think they're going to gain something from it. And Galloway, very important shill, we have to watch out for this prick. He wants to be Prime Minister. Lawrence of Rochdale, the little Scottish Presbyterian shithouse, wants to be Prime Minister. Well, we know who's going to try and put him up there. Because they're stupid too. You see, they're going to lose this place of freedom and sensibility and civilization and turn this place into a backwater that their grandfathers left. Because they're stupid. Because none of them have read Quran. None of them have read Surah Hadith. Never. Never read it. They haven't got a clue. Just like most people have never read the Bible. But because you automatically have that instinct that it's not quite right. So you don't really need to read it. That's for us that like to read words. So that we know where it was created. Babylon. Which is why they had a New Testament. To say, get away. This is where Moshe comes in. They call him the Great Satan. I'm starting to look at who's this Satan fella. He might have something to tell us. You know? I mean, of course, I'm not going to try and invoke him in any kind of ritual or that. I'm a bit worried about voodoo stuff. But you know what I'm saying. Everything that we've been told is evil actually might have some of value to sell. Look, lads, you've been fucked over. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. But we really are going to have to kick ass against this shit. So forget the who and all this bollocks. That's what they want you to focus to so you can shit yourself. Concentrate on everything. This is the gig, folks. This is the last chance to save merry old England. Unfortunately. Stop listening to them Aggie squeezers. Because they haven't got a clue what they're talking about. They haven't even recognised that their entire nation was took over by the Persians in the time of David I. Because they've always enjoyed hating the English. Even though there's more Scottish live in England than have ever been born in Scotland. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not against... I love Scottish people. They're great. This is not about Scottish people. Just as it's not about English people. It's about aristocratic mafias. All operating for the Holy See. I mean, the entire aristocracy now, you could say, on the British Isles is related to the Holy See families. And on England, the majority of them are related directly as bastard lines from Charles II and ultimately Maria de Medici. Outrageous. I don't know what else to say on that matter. Let's have a look what you lot have got to say about it. I know you've been getting well excited and swearing as well as me, because you've got permission to swear as well. Don't know effing and jeffing, but bloody and bugger is acceptable. On the just YouTube might get excited, but bugger, stupid, bloody, we can accept. No effing and jeffing. That's only me allowed to do that. Where are we? Right, Abaddon. Right, we got to there. Not my king should be tried for treason. Not just the king, every prick that fucking oath to it. That's treason. Maybe we have to go through the treason laws just to remind everybody what power you have as an English an Englishman. You wench. Anthony says, by all accounts, Parliament is currently dissolved. Yes, it is indeed. There are no MPs. It's dead. July, so on government in operation at present. So no government, that's correct. Gaius Agricola says, excellent. Good evening to you, Gaius. You've not put any videos up for a while. I like your videos. I've learned quite a lot from you, sir. Evening to you. Jerry says, petition demand. Exactly. Yeah, an absolute demand. And we're going to have to start considering using some of these mine shafts. Because let's face it, this country's littered with them. They would make temporary prisons. I'm quite sure. Chad's one. Sry, I don't live in fear of no one. Well, that's jolly good. Evening to you, Sheds. Cessor of jurisdiction. One title, Life of the Mix. What about Vincent Gerard Nicholas as the British Cardinal of the Roman Catholic Church, Archbishop of Westminster and President of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of England and Wales? Maybe I'm going to have to go and chat with this guy. However, we have to remember that the Vatican II... Oh, right, look, let's go back to the second Fatima prophecy. Okay, very important. Most people fix to the third because, of course, that's where all the blood and guts is, and everybody likes blood and guts. The second prophecy was saying, a warning, if you don't consecrate Russia is going to be a major problem. Why? Because of the Bolsheviks. Forget this idea that the Orthodox Church in Russia is anything other than Bolshevism, Noahidism, Babylonianism. It's exactly what it is. The Vatican was taken over because they didn't do what the second warning gave us, which was read out the third. To stop, and it had to be done in 1960, to stop Vatican II, because Vatican II put the Vatican completely under the Russian Orthodox Church. That's what's happened. We looked at the fact that one bitch were bragging how they put 1,100 paedophile rapist woolly wofters in the church. The church has been undermined. The church hasn't been everything we've been told it has. It kept us together. That's what we've lost in the West. Every man and his dog for himself. And then we wonder what's happening. Nobody's looking after their own. Nobody's looking after their extended neighbouring family. Muslims are doing that. That's why they can keep together. But these pretend Jews at the top are setting it up so that we come together in mass annihilation of each other. So that they don't have to do it because they can't. See the game. You never do what your enemy wants you to do. Otherwise, you are stupid. No matter what colour you are. No matter what flag you wave. Give me a flag. If you do what your enemy wants you to do, you're a fucking retard. And the art of war has passed you by. Anyway, where are we? So, what's he called? Vincent Gerard Nichols. Well, do you know what? There is still real Christians in both the Church of England and the Catholic Church. I know this. And I think I've been running away from them for quite a while. Keep running off. But maybe it's time. The little Shawnee boy here said, get rid of your own nonsense and your own little prejudices, you little shitbag. Because I'm full of them. Like everybody else. Sometimes I can hide them quite well. But I have to stop watching Twitter because they come out. And it's just so negative, that thing now, for division. I've recognised that actually I trigger quite a lot when watching that stuff. And so there we go. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time. And Keith Michael Patrick O'Brien. O'Brien, that's my clan. That's my clan, that. O'Brien's and the Brennans. That's my clan. So he might be a relative. Was a senior ranking Catholic prelate in Scotland. Okay then. Thanks for that, Untitled. Cos 1973, waves the gigs, howdy boss and chat, howdy Cos. I could crush a grape. Well, I could certainly crush a money. A pretend one. Untitled, Paul James Scriven, real name, thank you very much. Space Open Mike, lightly like, cause we like it, cause it's likeable. Press the button. Press the like button. What crack? Just to piss everybody off. Nouveau Laredo, it's sad, John. Here Australia is fucked, economy up shit creek. Well, because you're so vast like Canada, and there's so few of you, you're easy pickings, and they're going to push this bird flu all over you this winter. Whatever they've set up with this WHO gig, because they didn't get the treaty in place, but they've agreed a lot of stuff. They've connected climate with health. Guaranteed. This winter, paedophile Trudeau, who paid $3 million to keep this little 12-year-old that he was banging stupid when he was a teacher, to keep a mouth shut. And whatever fruitcake you've got going on in Australia now, you can guarantee they're going to start playing this game, that whatever they've set up in Geneva, on you guys. Pay attention. Pay attention. Where are we there? They control all these popular influence of people. We need to build from the ground up. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're going to look at the elephant in the room in a minute. Pink elephant. Okay? Now, everybody, if you're a white honky, or a black guy that's lived here, Muslim that were born here, Buddhist, Thai, Japanese, Chinese, we all need to see this, because this is what's going to come and remove our nations from under us, because on a black. Everything they do is a black. Everything. Once you see that, and I've seen that studying the law, and you see them naked. And the only downside to it is, once you start to think like them, you know, they're twisted. Twisted. Everything they do is just sleight of hand, knowing full well that you're ignorant of the facts, the game, and they're going to have you, because they're tapping into your fear then. But you start to think like them. But of course, it's catch a thief to catch a thief. And of course, the more I've expanded my mind in their mindset, the more I can see the game as well. So it's worked well. It's just disgusting to actually have to study. We need to build from ground up. Yeah, your best channel in all of England right here. Well, thank you, sir or madam. Anoxian, the ignorant zoarchist, the bastard lines. Exactly, they're all bastard lines that are running this. All of them. So there must have been something in. You see, I look at the old Christian theology and think, what it were the battle lines. They were saying to you, look, the way these bastards get in is if you start doing this, or you do that, or you let this go, let that slip. So they were the rules of the game to say to you, listen, if you really want to keep these bastards out, these are the games you have to think in. You have to hold on to these ideas as rules that you obey. Okay? But we don't see that. We look at it and go, look what they did to the burning witches. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, they're fucking Jesuits, man. We're Jesuits. Actually, with the Dominicans, believe it or not. Funny enough, the Dominicans were the last. From 909, when the monasteries were being taken over by the Carolingians, and they inverted the Benedictine doctrine on land ownership and property, the Dominicans were the last to do it, to go along with it. They were adamant, no, they were proper original Christian. But then when they did, they became the fucking worst, and they were the ones that were running all the Inquisition shit, burning people and poking sticks up their bottoms and that. They were obsessed with sex, aren't they? They were sticking things with your bum and your boonani and that. Things down your ankle. It's twisted shit, isn't it? But anyway, yeah. I mean, the church is so vast as an entity. As Malachi Martin made clear. There's still a lot of good in there. So maybe we have to stop being stupid. Running off on this emotional garbage that everything about these institutions that have kept our nations together. Maybe we might have to reinvigorate them. Which might mean having to go down there and sit there, and put money in basket. But we have to check first that they're not Jesuit Zionist paedophile fruit bats. Do you know what I'm saying? So maybe we have to just be a little bit careful. But we have to do something. And playing with yourselves, watching telly, watching Alex Jones and all these shills who are talking bollocks, isn't going to cut it, chaps and chapesses, is it? We're going to have to do something. Petition is on the top gig by far. But there's already, if you get what Malachi Martin was saying, he says the network's already there. And it's global. It's just that the people have disconnected from it. But it's still there. But in order for it to reinvigorate, it would need us to go back. So I'm going to reinvestigate this, me running away from all this stuff for a bit, actually, and see if I can start to pull things together and we can actually have some clout here. And that's outside, of course, the petition. Where are we now? The Star Twinkle, hello Star Twinkle. Though they were supposed to be facing east, so what are they on the tarmac facing west? Because the God is in the tarmac, Star Twinkle. It's a new religion. A new one. They're trying to pull the God out of the tarmac. Because when you go back into Babylon, they were using all this Ashfeld then. So they're trying to pull up the Babylonian god Nimrod. You see, Nimrod's the god of the fruitcakes. Because he went about to deliberately break every single spiritual code in his in his rebellion against the big cheese. Yeah, not the fruit bats, the big cheese. The one that doesn't let you know it's there. Because he uses the female goddesses as an intermediary. Hermes might come along now and again and give you a bit of a message or something. And we use archangels, don't we? Michael, Gabriel, blah blah blah. Same gig. It's really the Israelite gig. It's the Olympians, ladies and gentlemen, and that's the God that Jesus was preaching against the fruitcakes, because he was preaching to the lost tribes who were all over Greece, Europe, Scythians, Ireland, British Isles, North America, South America, Canada, Norway, Sweden. Are you digging the scene? Nouveau Laredo, I've showed you links before, Sean, and I'll do it again. Please make a short for those out where... Right, I've got a problem. Everybody says the same thing. Even my son was crying at me the other day to get too long, you need shorts. My Mac's too old. It's too old. If I start to make a video, it has a mental fit. Okay, it has a mental breakdown. The last thing I need right now is for my Mac to die. Then there'll be no YouTubes. You won't even get to hear me or see my ugly mush on a Sunday night. There'll be no penning on the website. Can you dig what I'm saying? I know, and I know, and I know, and I know. So I know I'm not performing to the best of my ability. But I have excuses. Tons of them. And that's my excuse. And I'm sticking to it. And I've got a note off my grandma. So anybody wants to argue, I'll just get my note out. Alright? You don't want to argue with my grandma. She were a staunch Catholic, 6'2", and if she said jump, you would jump. But she was a lovely woman. An O'Brien. So I've told you there. That's my kin, that. Anyway. Where are we? Scottish folk don't hate English people. I know this, because the Scottish people and the English people love each other. It's the fucking aristocrats. They've been running the British Isles from Scotland since since the Civil War. Okay? Because that's when the Whigs got in. From Presbyterian Scotland. So they came in under David I, and it took them a couple of centuries to get to the Civil War. That's when they took over. And also implanted the East India Companies in the City of London. And the head of the Navy of the Prussian system that they'd set up under the Venetians' money lending. Actually, I missed it so far, sorry. Oh, I'm glad you missed it, Trina. I've been calling Aggie Squeezes Elton Burn. Hide your ears, darling, because you know I'm not talking about you. So I'm glad you missed it, darling. So I can tell you that, so that when you do watch it, you're not traumatised. Hello, Trina. I don't get where you get that from. I can't speak for the ruling families, only the ordinary public. Because if I'm giving anybody the impression that I'm talking about the Scottish people, forgive me, because I am not. I'm talking about the hoity-toits. They've been running these isles since the Civil War. Presbyterian Whigs. And this fake king coronationed his oath to the Scottish king. He's Scottish right. That's what it is. And that it gains its power from the fact that it has the power in America. So it has the money. That's how it's done it. Of course, I don't mean the Scottish people, cause, and don't ever think I mean that. So maybe I need to get that across a little bit more. But no, it's nothing to do with the Scottish people. I know a lot of Scottish people, and I get on with Scottish people. I get on with Welsh. Not all of them. Some of them are a bit arrogant. If you go in the pub, they'll start talking French, whatever it is, Welsh. Or Brythonic. Israelite, actually, if you get to it. So actually, but it's still cheeky, that. Because if they come to England, we don't start speaking Scottish. Just to piss them off, we keep talking English. Because we're thick as fuck, and we can only speak English. Anyway. Everything you say is so important, the stuff you share I've seen anywhere else as a haggy squeezer. What's going to happen up here then? But I know it's bad. Well, look, when we take back England, Chuck, we'll pile over Hadrian's Wall and to the one, and we'll take Scotland back. We'll get the castles back, and we'll chase these Johnny-come-latelys down in their underground caverns. Do you know there's a tunnel from Scotland to Anatolia? This is how they've done it, clever little diggers. Dan Browning, SHM, with 2 love hearts. And I have no idea what SHM means, but thank you very much, Dawn. Space Hopping Mark, Dawn Browning, and a love heart. Okay, so it's a secret language, and I don't get it. Hoyt, hoity toits, exactly. Nouveau Laredo, yeah, they make moves in each country bit by bit, and then mirror it worldwide, exactly. Miroslav, hello Miroslav. Sorry I'm late today, my English brothers told me not to talk too much truth in public. Otherwise, going to have a problem with the law. If you have any problems with the law, Miroslav, get in contact with me and I'll sort it out for you. Dan Browning 07. 007. Absolute power corrupts, absolutely. They've taken it so far, we have a lot of work to do. We have, but this is the main one. Stop this demolition of our church, because it's the structure. We'll send them away with their slapped asses. Back to Belgium. They've taken it, yeah. Jerusalem makes I don't, because most of the mind of, but what can we do? Fecking crybabies. It's exactly where they're all at. They're like, "Ooh," and blame everybody else. Listen, we're responsible for what we do, and if we let them pillars blaggers, we've let them blaggers because we're stupid, we're cowards, and we're uneducated. The only difference between me and most is I decided a long time ago, fuck this shit, I need to educate myself so I know why I'm a rebel. So I'm always a rebel without a clue. Then I had a clue. And then I tried to think, oh, now I know why I'm a rebel. Because it's all bollocks. And that's when you start to get your teeth and you become a dragon. With big fucking teeth. A Music Mac just died. Music Mac just died. Is it? Okay, thanks Sean. Perfectly understand. No, it is nouveau. Yeah, sorry about it. If I've been giving anybody the impression that I'm against Scots. Rubbish. In fact, one of the finest men I know was a Scottish guy, and I met him at John Lang's. We didn't get on at first, but that was just our bollocks. And then we were best as mates, to the point that I was going to press him for a night out he was going back up to Glasgow, and he came up to me end at night and just sees my keys to my flat. You can stay there. And I'm like, wow, what a geezer. Mr. Colin Brown, he was called. He'd had to do a running from Glasgow. And this is like the 80s. And he had a bit of a fallout with a couple. And now we have fruit bats importing other fruit bats and telling them they are the ones, exactly. Yes, I agree. This place up here is rife with these evil aristocracy families. Yeah, it's old Scottish right up there, Chuck. When you're coming up for a wee break, Sean, I just need to deal with my car. I've got some serious issues going on with my car at the moment. I might end up dying. So, we'll see. I will come up and see you though, my dear. Miroslav says, thanks, no worries, Miroslav. Jerry says, Sean, SHM, Space Opera more. Dawn Brownie, Space Opera and I were old scrub mates from way back. We have a secret language. Oh, that's good stuff. Hey up, Jerry, says Dawn. Train, they built the stakes in the air. Oh, God, it's terrible. I wish they just... No wonder it's raining all the time. And they're blaming El Nino. Well, El Nino usually makes it red hot. No foundations to stand on. They have no soul. No. Castles in the air. Yep. Jerry Sullivan. SHM. No code. You're welcome, Sean. Says Tree. Thank you, Tree. Right. The pink elephant. Are you ready? You're going to go, oh my fucking God. In a minute. Why did we never see it? Yanks, you need to see it. You need to see this. Right, let me find it. Nope. Nope. Yes! Right, just to give us a sec. Right. I'll have to make it smaller. You're not gonna believe this. You're just gonna go, oh my God. Right? This is the elephant in the room, ladies and gentlemen. The fist of the Bolsheviks. And there he is. Comrade Lenin. Is that Lenin? One of them. I'm not an expert on the old commies. The China. Look at the laurel there. UN. Holding the hammer. Uncle Z. What's that book he's got his hand on? No hide. Look at that! The cocksucker! Excuse my French, but I can still allowed to. I'm allowed to. Look at that face. Yeah, like using that fist. Oh my God! This guy uses it every day. It is his sign. I've not seen Europa documentary, I don't think, no. Look at the Donaldo. It's his gig. Look. That's his gig. King Cyrus. Look. The Black Hand. How have you missed that? Now then, a younger Trump. And let me just make this small. Prince Raffredo Gattani di Aragona Lavatale, with his girlfriend Ivana Trump and her ex-husband Donald Trump, who is a close associate of the Gambinos, Genovese, the Philly mob. Lovatele refers to the city of brotherly love, or Philadelphia, where they began the woman, Zionism. Prince Raffredo dated Ivana Trump. Donald Trump owned casinos in Atlantic City that were built by the Merlino mobsters. Trump laundered criminal profits for the Philly mob and Gambinos in Atlantic City. The Gambinos and Genovese construction company S&A Concrete built part of Trump's building in Manhattan, and Trump purchased land from the Philly mob hitman Salvatore Testi for his casino tester. Trump is also friends with the Gambino associate Joey Klink. Prince Raffredo faked his death because he is Trump's primary boss, and Trump was pre-selected to become president. Bloody heck. Not the blonde bombshell there, is it? Now, keep parading him at UFC, don't they? They've got all the UFC boys through Joe Rogan totally on board with the gig. Vince McMahon and his friend Donald Trump, who appointed his wife Linda McMahon as the head of Small Business Administration. The McMahons are long-time friends of Trump, and they've donated to Trump's political campaign. The McMahons are worth about $2 billion, and they own a mass media and wrestling company. The McMahons are related to the French-Irish McMahon nobility, which militarily fought for the Bonapartes and Savoys against the Habsburgs, and they then became Italian nobles as the Dukes of Magenta. The McMahons and the WWE psychopathic associations are involved with steroid trafficking, blood and trafficking, paedophile rings, child trafficking, human sacrifice, and they also manage militarised gang stalking and work as criminal mafia style enforcers. Vince McMahon. So this is another branch of the Irish elites in the US. And this is a very recent one. Trump announces inauguration team. There you get the fist again. They're telling you. They're telling you. Oh, look at that. Another Bolshevik shithead that everybody loves and adores. Yet, when he was in Parliament, everything he ever said was pulling forward the United Nations. Garbage over and above everything England. For his entire gig in Parliament, all he ever did was pull in the United Nations. United Nations, United Nations. I used to watch him on Wednesday's Questions. Yeah? Prime Minister's Questions. Everything he ever said was Bolshevism. UN, UN, UN. That's it. Can you see it? There's one missing there that's been hidden. So behind that is another Donald Trump one, with Woody Johnson and Donald Trump appointed Johnson billionaire as the ambassador of the United Kingdom. Woody Johnson is an owner of the New Jersey Jets NFL team. Johnson also owns a medical company called Johnson & Johnson, headquartered in New Brunswick, New Jersey, which takes its name from Brunswick, Germany, where the House of Hanover ruled as dukes. Hanovers are the Dukes of Brunswick. Woody Johnson is involved with financing medical persecution and murder, as well as human blood and flesh trafficking, through his family medical foundation. Woody Johnson is an agent of the Hanovers, and somebody called Vladimir there. I need to find that image, don't I? I didn't know that had happened to that PDF when I made it, so sorry about that, chaps. Oh, look, another one! Oh, there he is again. Uncle Z. In 10 years there will be no more Israel. Oh, that's hidden as well. That's so that's a speech from Uncle Henry Kissinger. So I don't know why they've done that. My apologies. But he's basically saying there that Israel only had 10-year lifespan left, And that was a few years ago, so it's looking like that's playing out. Africa. Now we're into Dr. John Coleman's territory, where he joined MI6 as an international intelligence operative in Africa. He believed to fight communism and pretty much realised that they were actually installing communism, and that's where he started collecting all his data over something like 20 years. He realised that there were a supranational committee of 300 men that called themselves the Olympians, and that they were overseeing everything global, and to get a seat on that table, you're basically to be a mass murdering pig. And it's made up of the head of each family that runs nations. So that only the inner core of these elite families actually know the truth of what they're actually doing. So let's say all these Holy See families that we've looked at, it's only the core elite of them families that actually know the game. The rest of them don't. And if we go back to the live stream we did on the ruling, the guy or a female that claimed to be of the ruling families also basically was saying that none of them are actually acting in accordance to how they should be. But we have to really, really keep in mind that these families, it's only the inner elect of each of these families that actually know the full extent of the game they're in. Now, whether that still pans out today or not, I don't know. But again, you know, we have to appeal to these families. You know, what are you doing? It's not going to work how you've seen it. It's not going to work. It really isn't. And you're building up a China as a potential method by which you're all rooted out. Surely you're not that stupid, you know, and that's talking to the elite families. Look at this piece of shit. I told you before, this guy never spent a day in prison. 1988, meeting in Melrose House, where he was asked if he would lead the new gig that was being birthed in South Africa. And he did. The guy was a terrorist. And is that the same guy? Probably not. They probably actually killed the original Nelson Mandela. And we got this freak. First thing he did when they agreed and became president was borrow $5 billion from the World Bank to buy arms for South Africa, for these new militias. Fake. Another one. Marion Barry. Another one. Oh, look. Oh, Hamas leader. Oh, by golly, never. Hamas, the supreme rebels of all the entire gig? I don't think so. Completely and utterly created and funded by the Mossad. From the get-go. So these hostages that have been captured by Mossad, and are being kept over there by Mossad, so that they can create the Greater Israel. But obviously, as Mr. Kissinger, Uncle Henry said, it's just up like to kick off the war between the Christians and the Muslims. Spain, by golly. Philippines. And this guy's a bit of a nut job. He just kills everybody. And now, what's this new gig? Let's just get something into it. What began under this bug script, this new game called "Hiya mate, you alright? Hiya. Have you given it some thought? Everybody's giving it this. Fuck you. If anybody comes at me again with that, no, I'll shake your hand, but I'm not doing that anymore. Where did it start? Well, him. And him. Them two. Communists. 2020 year when the first bump became mainstream greeting handshake. And there be the pink elephant in the room. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, this is today, by the way. Get this. This is today's news. Justin, China says, anyone who dares to separate Taiwan from China will be smashed into pieces and face their own destruction. I think these bloodlines have created a monster that they're not going to be able to control. Personally. And I've been thinking that, dreaming that for quite some time. I think this guy here is playing them all. And once they hand him the power, one of the first things he's going to do is uproot these families. It's just my opinion. But remember, Taiwan, okay? When the communists, the Bolsheviks, Federal Russia, were taking over China by funding, giving it arms for all the issues that China were having in that time. It had a lot of separatist provinces in China back in the early 20th century, and of course they needed weaponry, and this is how the Bolsheviks actually got in there, and this is why the communists began to rise in China. Bear in mind, all this has been funded from the Venetians' inner city of London. But as China started to become more communist, the actual ruling elites of China as a whole moved to Taiwan. So Taiwan is actually made up of the original Chinese elites before communism swept to power. Yeah? So Taiwan is China. China, the corporation, is Bolshevism. Chinese people need to be aware of that and start to wake the hell up to that shit, because, I mean, Kazakhstan, they don't realise what's moving there. Bolshevism is moving to Kazakhstan. And there endeth the pink elephant. Ladies and gentlefolks. What do you reckon? Yeah. Have you seen Europa? I think back in the day I might have watched parts of it, but I mean it went on for about 25 years, didn't it? And to be honest, most of the stuff that it was speaking of, I already knew. I'd read it. Because I read it, it was all books for me in the 90s. I read everything in the books. And that helps me to see through the bullshit today when they're trying to say this book said that or that book said this. No, it didn't. You know what I mean? I've read them. I mean, I don't have the library anymore that I had. So I can go, yep, look, see, 18 such a thing, it said that. Now, interesting, if you want to have an idea as to how that plays out, the 7th edition Encyclopedia Britannica is the time before the Rothschilds bought it. You look at the difference between the 7th edition and everything that came after. And everything that came after, everything against the Judahites has been removed. Everything. The plague, the ties into the East Indies, into China, into slavery. All that's in the Encyclopedia Britannica's 7th edition, and before it, everything after is gone. You can see that yourself. The 7th edition Britannica is online. Now, whether they've edited it or not, I don't know. But if you can get hold of the original 7th edition Encyclopedia Britannica, they'll tell you exactly what we're going on. And everything that we say today, that they say makes us anti-Semitic, is loaded in the Encyclopedia Britannica. 7th edition and previous. Yeah. So, Space says, I know about Bolshevism, yes, evil system. I mean, things they did. I mean, some images I've been collecting of late. And so, I had a short video of them putting them in, women, naked, little girls, into a box. A diesel wagon. Shutting it, kicking the diesel wagon up, and then poisoning them in the wagon. And you can hear them screaming, it's terrible. Because they actually filmed it all, the Bolshevik stuff. This is why Google video back in the day was so important. YouTube were only 10-minute videos. It were Google videos that had the 2 and 3 hour documentaries, and most of them were from Pathé News. So all the old Pathé News, BBC stuff, that told it you, as it were, that were all on Google Video, gone. But it's obviously starting to come out in snippets on Twitter because, of course, as Kissinger said, Israel's time is up. As long as it does what it's meant to do, which is put Christianity and Islam to war, then King Cyrus and his happy laxatives and Toymac God worshippers are going to reign supreme. Not Islam, not Christianity. Yeah. And even the atheists, so that's all your homosexuals, LBQTGPX, and affiliated crazy people. There's your atheists. So when the Third World War is about setting Zionism and political Islam against each other, then releasing the atheists, which is all your homosexuals, LGBTQ, feminists, transgenders and all this stuff. There's the atheist block. And of course they're going to be quite a bit older by the time they're going to unleash them with weapons. It's all about self-annihilation on your own ignorance. And remember, the bloodlines at the top are the arbitrators, the Zoroastrians. They're giving themselves that third position. Dear me, I don't know, what a gig. Thanks, Doctor. Fist of power. That's right. I mean, they used to say it meant solidarity. No, it doesn't. Lenin and Trotsky were full-blown Bolshevists, and that was the signal. You've got the black hand and things. You've got the hidden hand. All these things. It's all about symbolising their gig through different methods of using the hands. You know, you see all the old pictures with the handed, and that's hidden hand, secret societies, Freemasonry, basically. Or the hand that chokes. Trump likes fisting, I bet. Trump does a lot of naughty things. I mean, you've got to remember, Trump was brought up in brothels. So his family made their money in the gold things, crazies in America. They had the brothels. And that's where Trump was brought up. So you can understand and see how he sees females. It's his programme. That's what he was brought up with. And yet there's a video out there of him with Epstein saying, I want them all, bring me all the girls, because they're dancing. And he's excited. And that's the younger Trump. Whether this Trump that we've got parading now is Trump, I don't know. But he's certainly got the UFC boys all hooked. Gangs of New York. Yeah, good film that actually. Skyman, the 6-hour 10-part series on Europa. The Fister People. I got through the first 4 hours, says Space Opera. It's hard watch. I only managed 1 hour the first time I attempted to watch it. The Gulags. Exactly. And where were they? A lot of them. Kazakhstan. Azerbaijan. Turkmenistan. Yeah, where Stalin created a real homeland for the Sephardic. They're over the top of the Khazarians. And the Khazarians know that. Yeah, Che Guevara as well. And if you look at Che Guevara's hat, he's actually got the Egyptian star on his cap, but it's reversed, it's inverted. Again, telling you who he is. And that's the Egyptian star, and it's inverted. Have a look. What's it called? Scurry man. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and suffer the loss of his own soul? Well, this is the thing about it. Because spirituality is gone, people don't understand that concept anymore. They're so fixed into the materialistic side of life. They've lost touch with the fact, and they only start to come back to that when they get into the end of their life. And then they've left it so late, they've got one thing, and that's absolute fear of what's to come. Nobody gets out of here alive. Nobody. Remember that. If you don't spend time understanding those concepts at some point in your life, then, like most people, when it's coming to that end, especially since the 60s, when God went out at window, you've only got fear. You've only got fear. And, you know, if you don't have that spiritual protection, you're going to be the ones that end up in them old folks' homes. You're going to be the one that suffers these crazy people, and they treat you, and then knocked off with all the toxic concoctions that we saw released during the book script. So Europe is on bit shoot. I'm watching it again after Sean posted a video about the same subject recently. Yeah, Bolsheviks, you need to understand who these people are, because this is what they do. That is what they do. And they revel in it. Because they are the evil ones. It's real, people. It's fucking real. There's a major difference between heaven and evil. Make no mistake about it. You know, the 90s, I was journeying in that to see. I saw it firsthand. I witnessed their shit. Because they threw it all at me. I watched World War at War as a child with Grandad, who was held by the Japanese. Well, my uncle, he were in he did what's it called? Where they all got? Where Hitler didn't kill the entire British Army in an afternoon, Dunkirk. And then he joined first lot of commandos and ended up in Burma for the rest of the war. Came out and gassed his celly oven because his wife had been playing about and had a kid. So, you know, them wars didn't do anybody any good. You know, my other grandfather, he were a dispatch rider. Never spoke about it. My uncle were in desert rats in Africa. Again, when I did speak to him, he just said, "We're not heroes." Because when you see the game, when you're in it, you lose the fantasy that you get by watching it on telly. That's the fantasy side, but it's not the reality of it. And war damages males. It damages them, and that's why they do it. It damages you. You're not the same. Look watch Peaky Blinders, at least the first couple of series. You know, all these damaged guys are coming back. You've got Tavistock in there, Sir Rollins Rees. They were using mind control techniques and experiments on these damaged people, and then use them to create the criminal underworld. America, the way they boosted that up was prohibition. They create all these situations. They create them. This is why these Holocene families are all involved in different mafias. They're controlling it, while pretending to be holier than thou by putting robes on, Knights of Malta shit everywhere. When really, they're running both sides. Why? Because there's Zoroastrians. They need the Christian, Islamic, and Judaic. They are the arbitrators in their game, in their ideology. And they're saying, yeah, take pay. And whichever one you're doing, they'll feed you. And then they'll judge you, one way or another. Or just keep using you if you're good at it. SAS and people like this, you know what I'm saying? They take the best of the best. And they just use you for their own ends. You think you're an hero and Rambo. But you're not. You are. You're doing everything that you've learned. You probably have to get it out of your system in this life. But ultimately, what you're serving. You're not fucking James Bond, let's put it that way. And the queen that you fucking served weren't a nice one. So it's your own fantasy, your own belief system that they manipulate to serve them. And that's the same throughout everything. Whether you're a drug dealer. Remember what Abe Finkelstein said. They control the wholesale, the Jews. They don't control the source of it all. The source of it all belongs to the Holocene families. But the Jews, in 1940, when it was handed to them, were only given the administrative role, like the Rothschilds or the court financiers for these elite families. They were given the wholesale. So everything beneath that then is retail. You can't buy anything and do anything without going to the wholesale. But ultimately, the wholesale exists because of the source providers. You know? Let's see it this way. And Jews need to see it this way. You're not the almighty everything. You're just the top of this 666. In my opinion, and it is my opinion, 3 chakras below the heart, which each religion represents one of the chakras. Root chakra is Judaism. It's all about survival of the avatar. The sacral chakra is all about the sexual energy. And that's Islam. Because their main problems is all sexual energy. That's they haven't worked out how to pull it together. Which is why God puts one group of people over there, one group of people over there, and one group of people over there. So that they can each, here in their time, deal with what it is that they're to deal with. You start mixing that up, and none of your systems are working. So nobody's advancing spiritually. Because they're too focused to what's going on around them in the external. So nobody is here dealing with what it is to deal with. And of course, Christianity. You've got those two in check as a spiritual entity born into this, and then you've got the energy of the sun behind what you're doing, you will. Your will then is energized by the sun. So it's the sort of conclusion of the bottom three. This is before you get to the heart, by the way, where you then energize who you are by the energy of the sun, which is why it expanded so well. But it only works when you're taking full 100% responsibility for everything you do. If you're blaming anything outside, it's going to be misused because it's going to be used by those above it. And this is the thing about the knowledge. It's not that these people up there are spiritually higher, but they've been given the knowledge of how that works up there, and they've exercised it. Doesn't mean that they're spiritually, because they're not. They're not the whole everything. They've been given that knowledge and had it passed down to them. So they're misusing it. They're using it without the spiritual, let's say, they haven't mastered the spiritual side to the knowledge they have. So they're misusing it. And that goes right up to the third eye, because that's the manifesting point. And that's how I understand. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. Some people have even suggested I've invented it. I haven't invented it at all. But I've studied a lot of Eastern philosophies back in the day. And those were the impressions I got from within, showing me that kind of a structure of how it works at each frequency. Because it's all about you becoming aware. See, one thing I learned in the mystery school is you pass through one frequency, and you're all of a sudden you're full of knowledge about that frequency, and you're like, whoa. But then as soon as you enter the next one, the higher one, you're back at the beginning. You're back at the beginning because you're beginning to learn that frequency. And then it happens again. You go up through that frequency and you get to a point and you think, fucking hell, I know fucking loads of stuff. And then you pass into the next frequency and you're back to the beginning again, thick. You're like, whoa. And once you suss that mechanic, you don't become a philosopher. You know what I'm saying? And try and hold in the knowledge you've gained and preach it. You're moving. You're expanding your awareness. You're not trying to hold on to one thing, because you're not trying to take control of anything. You're purposefully and consciously moving up through the frequencies. And you keep going to the beginning. You move up thinking you're fantastic because you've learned all that in that frequency, then bang, you're at the beginning again because there's a new one. And it's a whole lot of new knowledge. And each time you move up through that next frequency, everything you've done, it just gets bigger and bigger. And so your light is bigger. Your energy gets bigger because your connection is getting closer to the big cheese dick up there in the sky. Or is it up there in the sky? Or is it from within somewhere on some cord? Or somewhere like that. The silver buff. The silver ball. Anyway, that's enough rambling for me tonight. I hope we've got somewhere there. I didn't expect it to be anything like it's been. I just thought I'd chill along. But the pink elephant, there it is. And the trumpets all over the shop. King Cyrus. So you know what King Cyrus is going to bring to the table if he gets in. I don't think he will. But then that's where it'll become subversive in America. And you'll get your civil war kind of thing going on. But we can only wait and see. November will show us everything we need to see. And July is going to show us things here that we probably don't want to see. But again, it's going to knock everybody off. See, this is all diversions. To knock you off this dissemination of the Church of England. Don't let it knock you off. Forget the fucking bullshit. I know most of you out there are not voting. Don't get involved in it. Don't let it fill your head. We need to move on this petition side of things and demand that fucking keep the hands off the Church of England, because that belongs to us. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I bid you farewell. Where are we now? Till the next time.
eradicate